I wanted to show you some of Hasan's coverage from yesterday because we got to show our solidarity with the king.
How do I respond to my coworker saying Israel is not performing genocide because the Palestinian population has doubled since 2005? Disgusting tech guide to listen to today. Yes, people in horrifying conditions actually have higher birth rates. Here's one thing I want to explain here. Doing a genocide is not as easy as people think it is. It's not just like you turn on the genocide switch and then people die. It's not that easy to kill people. That's why when hundreds of thousands of people die in one act, like
by the way, it's not a genocide if you succeed and not one if you fail. Genocide is in the attempt and the intent, not in the success. The Holocaust was still a genocide, even though they didn't kill every Jewish person. The Armenian genocide was still a genocide, even though they didn't kill every Armenian. It was still a genocide in Rwanda. It was still a genocide in Bosnia. That does the actual reality of, oh yeah, we got them all, is not necessary. It is the attempt and the intent.
Hiroshima and
of
Nagasaki.
Native Americans, exactly.
That's a devastating
and many other genocides I didn't name, but you get my point.
That's like a uniquely evil moment in history. Other than that, it's not very easy to just like slaughter and butcher people, because guess what? People inside of a concentration camp still end up having children. Okay, people still try to survive.
All right, before we, I just have to show you this poll. This poll was recently released. We've got to go over the poll. 70% of Israelis and 83% of Jewish Israelis do not think Palestinian civilian suffering should be considered much or at all when planning the fight. To what extent do you think Israel should take into consideration the suffering of civilian Palestinian population in Gaza when planning the next phase of fighting there? Jews, not at all. General public, 40%. Jews, 47%, not at all. Arabs, 1.2%. Not so much. Jews, 35.9%. Arabs, 4.5%. Now, these categories are from Israel. This is not my category. These are Israeli Jewish citizens and Arab Israeli citizens. When asked if the IDF should not break international law and the rules of war, 53.6% of the Israeli public agreed. Do you agree or disagree when taking military operation, the IDF should ensure that it is not breaking international laws and rules of war? Strongly disagree, 19.4%. Somewhat disagree, 26.2%. Somebody asked you, hey, do you think the military should not commit war crimes? You're like, no, they should. You ever going to get this coverage in the mainstream media? According to this poll, more Jewish Israelis strongly disagree that the IDF should follow international law and rules of war than strongly agreed. Israeli society is very divided over whether the government has a clear plan for the next phase of the operation in Gaza. 47.5 thinks it doesn't, 43.5 think it does. Again, what the Israeli population is believing and supporting is immaterial, I guess, to coverage of this matter.
They adapt to those gruesome conditions. Having your population increase while you are under horrifying circumstances does not change the reality that there is a butchering happening.
And by the way, if you think this is some sort of targeted attack on Hamas, you're a fucking moron. And if that makes you feel bad about yourself, good. This is what it looks like. This is Gaza before, and here is after the Israeli airstrikes. They're carpet bombing everything. Does this look like they're just targeting Hamas? Do you think Hamas is in every apartment? In every house? They're destroying everything.
We stand with Israel.
Okay, I can't show you everything because I don't want to show any like corpses. Injured girl, dead baby. I'm sorry. Thankfully I paused. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, I think it's safe now. Jesus Christ.
Mr. President, the American people are not with you on this one.
Innocent civilians are going to be hurt going forward. I wish I could tell you something different. I wish that wasn't going to happen, but it is going to happen.
I want to thank President Biden for his unequivocal support.
We will remember in 2024.
What a queen. Rashida Tlaib, what a queen. You need to support Rashida Tlaib. I mean, there are literal videos of Hamas shooting random civilians. Imagine a population under siege for 17 years, where we have West Bank settlers right now doing pogroms of Palestinians, and they've been doing pogroms of Palestinians all this year, and you didn't say a fucking thing. Now you're gonna come in here and pretend that Hamas is just beyond the pale? As, by the way, I don't know if you know this, the Hamas attacks have been over for 23 fucking days. I don't know if you know this. They got killed. The Hamas fighters got killed or pushed back weeks ago. Israel is the only one bombing now. Israel has the Iron Dome anti-air defense system paid for by our tax dollars. Like, give me a fucking break.
Very, very silly to assume that it happens like overnight. The Holocaust is a great example of this as well. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen like, oh yeah, boom, clicked on the Holocaust button. It was an extensive period of continuously increasing the slaughter that occurred over the course of a decade almost. It doesn't happen overnight, and people don't understand that. If the murder rate is lower than the birth rate, then murder is okay. Exactly. Surely there would be some noticeable shift in the age of the population that would highlight the fact that genocide is still occurring despite an increase in population. Yeah.
I will show you how. I mean, obviously, they don't have the population in camps. Not yet, anyway.
I don't know. I wonder if there's like any indication. Like, for example, I don't know. Maybe the fact that the life expectancy in the Gaza Strip, literally like a couple miles off of this made up artificial boundary, is 10 years younger than the life expectancy in Israel proper. How did that work? How did that happen? They literally live right there. That is the greatest indication. Life expectancy being 10 years younger in the Gaza Strip than Israel proper, when they are literally right on top of one another, have the same diet, or supposedly are supposed to have the same diet. There's no difference between the life expectancy of North Dakota and South Dakota. And the proximity between North Dakota and South Dakota, especially along the border, is even larger than the proximity between fucking Gaza and Tel Aviv. It's 50 miles. This is straight up genocide denial rhetoric. Also, ethnic displacement plays a role in this as well. Like, deliberate ethnic displacement plays a fucking role in this as well. If you want to understand the 10 stages of genocide, 1, classification. All cultures have categories that distinguish people into us and them by ethnicity, race, religion, or nationality. German and Jew, Hutu and Tutsi. If societies are too segregated, divided, they're most likely to have genocide. The main way of...
So this is the reason I wanted to show you this, chat, is because we've been saying genocide. And so Hasan went over the 10 stages of genocide. I want this to be as robust an understanding of this community and any associated communities about what we're talking about here. And if you go through these 10 stages, every single one of them is currently being either completed or undergone by Israel against the Palestinians and Arabs. All of these are happening without exception.
Preventing genocide at this early stage is develop opportunities in society for people to work and live together who are from different ethnic, social, national, and religious backgrounds.
By the way, Chad, I have everything I need except a mic arm. I have everything I need except a mic arm. And the audio should be restored to its levels. So we're waiting. I'm trying to get a mic arm. I don't know why it's taking so long. I thought you had 2 mic arms personally. The population is increasing. Shit, if Genocide 101, I feel like this comes up every time. It's a dumb talking point.
Enforce diversity. This will allow people to become more tolerant, understanding of each other. It works. In the United States, public schools serve this function, even though they are heavily segregated right now, as they were even before Brown v. Board of Education at this point in time. But yes, this is why I talk about it all the time. There's a reason why cities are fucking blue. The reason why cities are blue is not because, like, black people live there. Black people live in enclaves in the South. Those areas are blue as well. But other areas are not. Why? Much higher percentage of the population in certain districts where black people live in the South, they vote blue. The population percentage of where black people live or brown people live in cities is much lower than a town in the South. Why? Why do they still vote blue? They vote blue because when you live in an urban environment, when you live in a diverse environment, you become more...
Okay, can I show you something, chat, about debate perverts and why I don't like them? So we are establishing through using the methods of analysis of going through the 10 stages of genocide, whether we could definitively say in a robust fashion, is Israel doing a genocide here or attempting a genocide? So that this isn't just some emotional appeal because we saw images of innocent civilians being killed, as horrible as that is, it doesn't necessarily constitute genocide. So in order to back up our claims that this is a genocide, we're going through this methodically, clearly, irrefutably. And that is why I no longer support Joe Biden in 2024. Genocides are my red line. I was already highly dubious of my support after he failed on every single political promise he made to the left. He was an utter disaster. He's continued Trump's immigration policies. He's backed away from the fight on trans rights. He's done nothing to attack the conservative Supreme Court. He bent over backwards to fold to the right wing of the Democratic Party. He basically allowed Build Back Better, his own agenda, to be killed. He's been a political failure, a legislative failure, an executive failure, and now to top it all off, he's supporting a genocide. This is what it looks like when you have no fucking principles. Disgusting. And sometimes people will ask you, well, okay, yeah, Biden is doing a genocide, but Trump would do a genocide too. So aren't you going to support the genocide? No. I have a red line. And if enough of you join me, if enough of you raise your voice and say, nope, Biden's done, and his numbers get low enough, the Democratic Party will panic and they will force him to retire. Now, that only works if you join me in saying every single poll you get, strongly disapprove, will not vote for Biden. Until you raise your voices and say, nope, disapprove, no vote for Biden. If you don't do that, then you have a moral opprobrium of supporting this genocide as if you were one of the IDF soldiers dropping the fucking bombs. Never vote for Genocide Joe. And if they decide to stay with Genocide Joe, if Genocide Joe doesn't change his position on Israel, if Genocide Joe doesn't change in relation to the pressure, well, I don't give a shit. If they would rather lose, that is their decision. I only have my voice. And voting for Joe Biden isn't good enough for me. If the choice was between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, I wouldn't vote for either of them. And Genocide Joe is on that level. Now, if that makes you all mad, I don't give a shit. He has decided to go down this path. He's doing so without me. So then support Trump because that is what you are doing. You don't have the reach or the skill. I don't know. Seems like it's working. Seems like all of us together, collectively, are making a difference. I never claimed to single-handedly be able to control the outcome of elections. But do you know what is seemingly happening? You know what is seemingly happening? This is happening. Joe Biden's approval rating.
Segregation that allows
Joe Biden's approval rating is below 40%. Somebody said Reagan's approval rating during his first term was similarly low, but do go on. Ronald Reagan's approval rating at this point, his first term, was 47.3% and rising. It had been rising for 6 months at that, 9 months at that point. Joe Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low and declining. And I want to tell you this. I'm not voting for Joe. If that makes you mad, it sounds like you've got another packet to knock. Go convince someone else to vote for him. I have my red lines. He's violated them all. He lost my support. I'm not a bitch. And if you're going, well, we got to play 9-dimensional chess. Why? He doesn't support getting rid of the filibuster. He doesn't support packing the Supreme Court. He doesn't support any possible future where we get outcomes that I agree with. That is not good enough for me. There's a genocide happening in Palestine. I'm not going to vote because you think that if we just elect Democrats for 16 years, we might eventually get the majority on the Supreme Court. What kind of brain dead fucking take is that? The Democrats had the ability to fundamentally reform this country's government, to make it more democratic, to give people in the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico a voice, to reform the Supreme Court, to protect voting rights, to protect queer people, to protect our environment, to protect our sick and our homeless, and they did fucking nothing. And now you expect me to go, well, did work in 2008, did work in 2020, but if I just keep voting for more decades for the same centrist pieces of shit, maybe one day it'll work. Fuck you. I know more than you about these people.
Allow this kind of hatred to fester. Number 2, symbolization. We give names of other symbols and classifications of ethnicity, race. We give the name of people, Jews, gypsies, or distinguish them by colors or dress and apply them to different members or groups. Classification and symbolization.
And by the way, one of the things that I find very fascinating and why I'm taking this position now is a lot of people seem to think that you have no effect on Joe Biden. You do. You do. The Pope just came out for a ceasefire. Members, there is massive debates happening at the AFL-CIO executive level. The president of the Postal Workers Union was yelling, according to reports I saw. If somebody could dig up the report for me, I don't seem to have it at hand. The leader of the leader of the Postal Workers Union was yelling at the executive board about Israel's apartheid. We had Sarah Nelson, the president of the Flight Attendants Union, just reposted the Pope's call for a ceasefire. There is actual change happening on the left. Joe Biden is not an infant. He is a seasoned politician. You want a seasoned politician to change their position? You have to make it politically threatening. That's what I'm going to try to do. If you're too much of a pussy to try, fuck you. I don't give a shit. If you'd rather go, I will just take whatever gruel Genocide Joe gives me, eat shit. Fuck you.
Are universally human and do not necessarily result in genocide unless they lead to the stage of dehumanization. When combined with hatred, symbols may be forced upon unwilling members of minority groups, the yellow star for Jews under the Nazi rule, the blue scarf for people from the Eastern Zone and Khmer Rouge, Cambodia. Sometimes we impose symbols on ourselves, like gangs using certain colors as a group's right, but sometimes backfires when they're discriminated against. Number 3, discrimination. Number 4, dehumanization. Number 5, organization. Genocide is always organized, usually by state, though sometimes informally by terrorist groups. Special army units or militias are often trained and armed. Plans are made for genocidal killings. To combat this stage, membership in these militias should be outlawed. Their leaders should not be allowed to travel outside of their country, where they may be able to raise funds or get weapons. Now,
we're already well past that.
So it's not a complex issue. That's the big thing. It's super simple. There's one group that has enormous power. It's the most powerful country in the Middle East. It's backed by the United States. It acts on another population of people with total impunity and is never held accountable for anything. So there's no symmetry in the relationship, period. And just as like a thought experiment, IDW people, if we know that if somehow a population of Jewish refugees ended up in West Bank and Gaza, and an Arabic government in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv had an open-air prison in Jewish Gaza, which they bombed with white phosphorus, they killed civilians indiscriminately, and they had no provisions for medicine. They had an embargo that blocked food, that electricity wasn't running, that there was an over 48% unemployment rate, life expectancy and malnutrition statistics were horrifying. One of the major policymakers in this hypothetical Arabic-Palestinian state said, we need to put
Thank you guys for finding that for me.
Diet. In the West Bank, there was another Jewish area where there was a little bit more autonomy, but there was regular Arabic settlements where they pulled up the Jewish farmers' foods. They terrorized them with rocks. The security forces broke children's bones, and they couldn't drive their own roads. We'd all have no problem understanding what that was. So there's nothing complex about it. The second part of your question, it's a pure asymmetry relationship. And the question is rights or not. So that's it. It's not complicated.
This is a major deal. Differences over Israel policy have caused conflict even among the nation's top unit officials. The executive committee of the AFL-CIO addressed the issue during a tense meeting on Monday night that was dominated by a 30-minute anti-Israel monologue from the president of the American Postal Workers Union, who described himself as an anti-Zionist Jew. Let's fucking go! Few liberal organizations have had as raw a discussion about Israel as the AFL-CIO did at the Monday night meeting of its executive council. Mark Diamondstein, the president of the Postal Union, argued that Israel and the Palestinian territories should be combined into a single state. He called for the AFL-CIO to demand a ceasefire, according to 4 people familiar with the contents of the meeting. What a king. If you know anything about the history of the labor movement and U.S. foreign policy, the crack in the labor monolith signifies a lot. There's a lot of potential here. BDS, which was pushed to the U.S. to challenge the cultural hegemony of Israel as a first step toward changing U.S. policy toward Israel, is bearing fruit. There's a reason pro-Israel forces targeted BDS with such vehemence. The fact that the union leader speaking out most forcibly against Israel is Jewish and identifies as an anti-Zionist Jew shows if there is to be a shift in U.S. politics and culture around Israel, American Jews are going to have to make a break with Zionism and take the lead. All this is from an article in the Times. This also shows that however dire the current situation may be, we are nowhere near the shutdown of post 9/11. It's a very different moment filled with a lot of political potential. And that's why I'm doubling down. We must double down against Joe. We must make him pay a political price. If not now, when? What genocide are you waiting for? You might as well just admit to yourself that you would have voted for Hitler if he was a Democrat. If you'd vote for Genocide Joe, there's no depths that you will not sink, and that is pathetic. The U.S. provides $3.8 billion a year to Israel. The Biden administration and Congress must make it clear Israel has the right to defend itself and destroy Hamas terrorism, but it does not have the right to use U.S. dollars to kill thousands of innocent men, women, and children in Gaza. Not good enough. Then vote for Trump. Here's the thing, dummy, dumbass, dumb motherfucking piece of shit. I don't have to vote for Trump to not vote for Biden. I could just simply say, I'm not voting for Biden. And Biden has an opportunity to change his position. Biden has an opportunity to maybe change my mind. He has the power. I told you what will get me to change my mind. He has to abandon his unconditional support for Israel. He has to call for a ceasefire. He has to mediate a real peace process. He has to condition aid to Israel on the revocation and withdrawal of settlers from the West Bank. If he's not going to do it, too bad. November 2024, Mike, you got to go for Biden. No. 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 Unless he changes his positions. I am willing to change my mind if he changes his positions. That's why I vote. I am not a team player. I am an ideologue. Because that's the only way to get your ideas into power. You have to be able to put your money where your mouth is. If you're just a Democrat partisan, you're a tool for other people. If you don't have any ideas of your own, then you're going to be used by people with ideas.
Now, this is deliberately written in a way where you can say this about Hamas, obviously, but also when it's a state that is backed by the United States government, like Israel, it doesn't matter what the classification is. The IDF absolutely falls under this category.
People turn on Fetterman now because they disagree on one thing. The one thing being genocide? You mean genocide? What would be the one thing that would make you change your mind on someone? Oh, wow, that guy's really nice. I guess he killed his entire family, but that's only one thing. Huh? Like, what are you talking about?
But it doesn't matter because America will always block any effort from the UN Security Council. They can veto it. They have full-blown veto power. Number 6 is polarization. Extremists drive the groups apart. Hate groups broadcast propaganda that reinforces the prejudice and hate. Laws may forbid intermarriage and social interaction between the groups. This is literally happening in Israel right now.
Israel bans interracial marriages between Israeli Jews and Palestinian Arabs. If you are an Israeli Jew and you marry a Palestinian Arab, that Palestinian Arab has no right to live in Israel if they're from the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. What would you call that? I'll tell you, an anti-miscegenation law. What democracy has an anti-miscegenation law? They don't exist. They don't fucking exist. John Fetterman always had bad takes when it came to this, but that was his chance to this was his chance to change that. He went full genocidal freak mode. Exactly. If John Fetterman had just stood with the squad and been like, "Oh, we should have a ceasefire," and "Oh, I support Israel's right to defend themselves and I condemn Hamas, but we should support a ceasefire. We need to restart the peace process." If he had just pulled J Street bullshit, we wouldn't hate his guts. But he has gone full-blown Israel defender. So what do you want me to say? I would have given him a pass if he had done the bare minimum, but he failed.
Now, extremist terrorism targets moderates and intimidates them so far that they are silent. Moderate leaders are those best able to prevent genocide, and they're often the first to be assassinated. Or sidelined. If not assassinated or sidelined.
They assassinated the last Israeli prime minister to sign a peace deal with the Palestinians. And who assassinated him? It wasn't Hamas. It was Israeli right-wingers. And the people that celebrate those assassinations of their own Israeli prime minister are in government now.
My fucking head hurts. Oh my god. I don't want to hear from fucking stupid ass, dumbass, bum ass, Mickey Mouse rings ass John Fetterman about the new speaker or anybody ever again, okay? Mr. Clean ass, head ass, loving genocide ass bitch. Old fuck ass motherfucker. Wear a suit, okay? Fuck that guy, okay? I'm fucking done with his bitch ass. You understand me? Straight up. Bitch. Stupid ass bitch. Fucking, the Hamas. Oh, it's really bad. Oh, I'm so scared of Hamas. Stupid fucking bitch. I'm telling John you said that. What a fucking disappointment he's been, dude. John Feder, bitch. 6'8". Yeah. Fucking got a head transplant. And then look at him now. Took him like 3.5 seconds to be like, yeah, actually, yo, fuck all this progress shit. He was always like kind of shitty on Israel to begin with, but god damn, dude, he's just fucking out of control. He's like almost at the level of Richie Torres. Like he's not, because he's, I mean, here, you want to know why I fucking despise John Fetterman now, dude? Here, I'll show you with this John Feder bitch. Not John Feder man, John Feder bitch, okay? Someone has the goddamn fucking Twitter post, the video with Pod Save America. He had the fucking Pod Johns. He was on with the Pod Johns and he's like talking about Hamas. Here, you want to know? Hold on. Got it? Oh, here it is. Here, watch. This is the brilliant mind of John Fetterman.
That Hamas doesn't want peace. You know, it's to remember that Hamas doesn't want peace. He doesn't want to be negotiated with, or I mean, and you know, they massacred innocent children, women, and now they have over 200 hostages with them right now as well too. So,
motherfucker said Hamas, and then said he. Like who's bro talking to?
I really believe that I'm always going to decide to stand on the side of Israel, in this place.
And this is something that we talk about, chat, is that I always was open that his position on Israel was by far and away his worst position. I've since learned, and there's reporting that basically he had Israeli lobbyists write his Israel position. He's scared shitless of AIPAC. He saw what happened against Summer Lee. He saw what happened to Nina Turner. And he was a little bitch. He's scared that AIPAC will drop tens of millions of dollars on a Republican to defeat him. He could have just kept his head down and kept his mouth shut. And I, as somebody who has known him for years, what a fucking disappointment. There's this phenomenon in American politics where progressives accept Palestine. And when I say accept Palestine, I don't just mean that people are not progressive. I mean, they basically become Israeli nationalists, blood and soil, bloodthirsty nationalists. They're not just like not progressive. They become a Likudite. It's like they're on the fascist right when they talk about Israel. They're not just like a generic Israeli Zionist leftist who believes in a two-state solution. They're running around saying carpet bomb. John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock kept their mouths shut and are now calling for a ceasefire. And I, honest to God, don't understand John Fetterman's strategy here. John Fetterman is here because of the online left. Because of Bernie Sanders. That was his path. His path to office was through us. And he has thrown us all to the wolves I guess he thinks he could transition to getting propped up by the mainstream. What a disgusting sellout. Rashida Tlaib says progressives cannot support Israel's government, sparking sharp criticism from fellow Democrats. Looks like she was right.
And also after the hospital tragedy, now we know that it was, I guess, Islamic Jihad. And
no, we don't. No, we don't. The evidence is that the rocket or strike, I should say, was from Israel. We don't even have any evidence that it was a rocket. We have a crater and shrapnel spray. We don't have physical remains of a rocket. We know that artillery strikes from Israel hit that same hospital.
they tried to blame it on Israel on top of that as well, too.
Dude, this isn't what happens to all of them.
I can't believe
this is not what's happening to all of them. Summer Lee is out there. There are progressive politicians right now out there taking shit, and you're saying all of them. This is what pisses me off more than everything. More than anything, more even than the betrayal, is when people do the right thing and you don't even bother to find out. People are sacrificing their... This is why people do this shit. Because when people take the hard stand, you're nowhere to be fucking found. They're on their fucking own. Rashida Tlaib, Summer Lee, get your fucking shit together. Find out who the good people are. Don't ask me to find every fucking one out for you. Do your goddamn job. You want to be a leftist? Support the people that are having the hard positions. That's the thing that really bothers me. Is they're going to spend millions against these people, these Israeli lobbyists. Where are you going to be? You going to complain? There's nobody that's doing it. What's the point of electoralism? Because when a person does show up and they do what they're supposed to do, you're nowhere to be fucking found.
Leave it, man. That's so crazy. This is the top mind, dude. This is the top mind on Israel, boys. You know what I mean? Fucking old head transplant ass bitch. Fucking dumb bitch. Fuck this guy. I can't believe it, dude. I just like oh my God. Your big boy Goodwill disappeared instantly. Yeah, fucking get on Ozempic, bitch ass. I don't want you to be a fucking big boy no more, okay? Disrespectful ass motherfucker. Disrespectful to the big boy cause, dude.
He could have just shut the fuck up. Nobody was clamoring for John Fetterman's position on this.
Yeah. Love that. Love it. Hamas, guys, he doesn't want peace with us. Like Hamas is fucking is scary. It's in every fucking corner. And also,
you get the point.
Neutered, like the secular Palestinian Authority, for example. These 10 steps of genocide is literally like Benjamin Netanyahu's direct approach to how to prop up.
Thank you for being a good person and principled leftist. It's nice to see you and Hassan being perfect about this, and I couldn't think of a better voice for the left between you two. The thing is, like, I have decided, and I decided a long time ago, I was only going to support what is right. I had about 80,000 opportunities to sell out. Before I ever streamed. You think I'm going to sell out after I get success streaming? You think I'm going to sell out after people are subscribing? After I have thousands of paid subscribers every month, I'm going to sell out now. When I was desperately poor, with student loans I had no chance of repaying, and I turned down selling out. You think I'm selling out now? When I was driving a car that was 20 years old, when I was 3 weeks late on my rent and I turned down selling out. You think I'm gonna sell out now?